here on a very rainy day in the New York City area. And I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the massive disappointment that I have had in Elizabeth Warren. As everybody knows, the battle at Standing Rock continues to escalate between water protectors and the oil police, as Jordan and I like to call them, coined by Jordan. I won't take his trademark away from him. But the oil police continue to use abusive tactics towards the water protectors, spraying them with freezing water in below 32 degree Fahrenheit temperatures. They continue to use mace on them. They basically blew a young woman's arm off. It continues to be a dire and upsetting situation. And of course, some of our most principled politicians have stood up and said what they believe is right. Bernie Sanders is one of them, of course. Bernie has been one of the largest and loudest voices advocating for President Obama to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline, to give the Native American people in Standing Rock the land that is theirs. This is on treaty land. There's no dispute about it. And the fact that it's been so difficult to get President Obama, let alone the majority of Democrats, Republicans, they're a lost cause, to say something in support of shutting down this pipeline is outrageous. So I'm first going to read to you some of the people that have actually stood up and said something, and then we'll talk about Elizabeth Warren. So, of course, Bernie Sanders, largest advocate. He has yet to come to Standing Rock. I don't know if he has plans to, but he's spoke at a variety of rallies in D.C. and spoke out publicly against it. Now, listen to these. Some of these names are going to be really surprising to you. Cory Booker from my home state, who's received more Wall Street money than anyone could count. In a letter sent to Attorney General Loretta Lynch late last week, Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey called on the Department of Justice to open an investigation into the tactics used by police against peaceful protesters who have designated themselves water protectors, thank you, Salon, and to deploy federal monitors to Standing Rock as reports emerge of violence against protesters. Booker cited ongoing danger to both protesters and law enforcement at the sites of ongoing protests against the Dakota Access Pipeline. Booker's letter to the DOJ to investigate all credible reports of inappropriate police tactics and send federal monitors to Standing Rock to ensure that protesters can peacefully assemble and exercise their First Amendment rights. So he's not even coming out saying, oh, I'm against the pipeline. He's not brave enough to do that. And no one would have expected him to do that because he's a massive corporatist and Wall Street lackey. But he's even speaking out. Against some of the tactics used by police at the Dakota Access Pipeline. Elizabeth Warren, where are you? Crickets. Here's another one. Senator Al Franken of Minnesota. Al Franken, who came into the Senate being seen as a strong progressive, has sold out a little bit. But I'll read again from Salon. The New Jersey Democrats letter, this is referring to Booker, comes after Senator Al Franken sent a letter to Lynch expressing a similar sentiment ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. Video of the incident appears to show that water cannons were not simply being used for fire control, you go figure, or even crowd control, but were often directed at small crowds or even individual protesters. Combined with the onset of wintry weather, water cannons are extremely dangerous and potentially lethal weapons, and I urge you to investigate their use on protesters, Franken wrote on November 21st. Native American populations have struggled for decades under the complex burden of historical trauma, and I have witnessed and admired how those communities have turned to their cultural foundations to build strength against that burden. These tactics against protesters exercising their constitutional rights threaten to add another layer of trauma to these communities. I urge you to do everything in your power to prevent further escalation of violence. So, thank you, Al Franken. Again, not really saying anything here or there like Bernie Sanders did about the Dakota Access Pipeline specifically, but he's urging the Justice Department to do their goddamn job and actually protect individuals who are being who are being mauled and assaulted by police for simply exercising their First Amendment rights. At best, they're trespassing, and that's not even the case for most of this. And even if they were, does that call for brutalizing them? Unbelievable. Another one, Representative Tulsi Gabbard, of course, is going to visit there next week. She's been an outspoken congresswoman who has said that she wants the Dakota Access Pipeline to be shut down, and she followed me on Twitter last night. Not a big deal. Here are some less big names that you may not know. Representative Mike Honda of California. He wrote, it is wrong that the Army Corps of Engineers violated the federal trust responsibility by approving construction without meaningful tribal consultation. Construction must be halted so the tribe can continue to fight to protect its waters and sacred places. Respect the tribal sovereignty requires so. Respect for tribal sovereignty requires so, excuse me. So he went far further, Mike Honda, so good on him. Mike Honda of California, representative. Another one, Representative Grijalva from Arizona. He says, if the pipeline was too much of a contamination risk for clean waters in the northern route, why would they consider it okay now to put it near Native Americans in their waterways? And another representative who has spoken out is Representative Paul Ruiz, also of California. So that's three senators, Bernie Sanders, Cory Booker, Al Franken, and 4 members of Congress, Tulsi Gabbard, Mike Honda, Raul Grijalva, I always trip over my words with his name, and Representative Paul Ruiz. So, then we have someone who is supposed to be the leader in the progressive movement, or a leader, a top 3 leader, Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren is someone, and I've said this on the show and on TYT Politics before, is someone who inspired me to be progressive, who I adored when she came into Congress. I thought what she did with the CFPB was a fighter move, and it was courageous, and it was an amazing response to the financial crash, while the rest of corporate Democrats wanted to go poo-poo and not go after any of the bankers or not protect the consumers in any way and pretend like nothing even happened. She fought to reinstate Glass-Steagall. On banking and financial issues, there is no one more progressive in Congress than Elizabeth Warren, and I will give her credit to the end of time for that. And I'm sorry if that bums you guys out, but if you want someone looking out for you on financial issues, Elizabeth Warren is your gal. On everything else, she has been a massive progressive disappointment. Not everything else, but here's what I really think. She's not a leader. Bernie Sanders is a leader. Bernie Sanders will say what he thinks is right, no matter the political cost. He will do what he thinks is right, no matter the political cost. Sure, yeah, maybe he bit his tongue a little bit once Hillary Clinton was the nominee, and he had to kind of choke down some of that vomit and say things about her that maybe he didn't necessarily mean. But Elizabeth Warren, when she's given the chance, you could do the right thing, you can do what I'm assuming she thinks is right in her heart, but although who knows at this point, or you can do the wrong thing. She shrinks in cowardice. And that happened in the primary. She was the only female senator not to endorse Hillary Clinton. That's not strong enough, Elizabeth Warren. Why didn't you just take the plunge and endorse Bernie Sanders? You wanted to play both sides. And it failed, and no one has forgotten this, and no one's going to forget this. How is Cory Booker out-progressiving you on this issue? Why have you said nothing? You were supposed to be a leader. You are supposed to be maybe a front runner for president in 2020. And if you do run, I will give you, props. I would be very happy if she ran, because I know that she's more progressive than most Democrats. But I don't think she'd be that good of a leader. I think she has a little bit of Obama in her, which is I'm just gonna shrink into the background. I'm just gonna, this side says this side says this, and then I'm gonna take an eon and a half to make a decision. She doesn't have great leadership qualities. And right now, water protectors are being brutalized. And you are one of the biggest voices in this country. You are one of the most popular politicians in terms of polling in this country. Why are you saying nothing? And you talk about how we're going to fight Donald Trump on all the things he's doing. Donald Trump has personal investments in this pipeline. Hey, Elizabeth Warren, maybe if I say Donald Trump a million times, you'll start to pay attention. Because the only thing you seem to be good for during the presidential election was going after him on Twitter and on Stephen Colbert and on Jimmy Fallon. Give me a break. Give me a break. Actually stand up for something that's brave. Do something that isn't easy. She's not a good leader, and I'm starting to realize that. And I think, obviously you can make fun of me, oh, I'm naive, you can make fun of me all you want. But there are parts of her I admire, but God, this silence on Standing Rock is really taking a toll on my personal opinion of her, and I think it should for you guys too. So, all right, guys. Have a wonderful day, and everyone stand with Standing Rock, okay?